Welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Wednesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's head across to our friends over in Adelaide. And of course, it's great to have this Paracyclist on the show. Of course, she just got back from Belgium after, of course, recovering from a little injury that she had over in Europe. And of course, her name's Em. She joins us right now. Thanks, Em, for joining us.
Thanks, Will. I actually didn't go to Belgium though. I didn't end up traveling because I ended up having to get surgery back here. So,
Oh, all good. Well, talking about that, how are you traveling with your recovery?
not too bad. Like I'm a lot further progressed than I probably would have thought 1 week post surgery. So everything's sort of starting to happen. I got back on the bike this morning for the first time, so that was good. It was just good to start moving again and starting to look forward now to 14 weeks time, and I hopefully can get to Road World Championships.
For you, you must tell us, what did you actually do and how did you do it, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it was actually totally. It's not an injury per se.
Oh,
I had a bit of a grumble in my shoulder, so I went to get a cortisone injection, and unfortunately got an infection in the shoulder, so it had to get a surgical clean.
14 weeks to go to the World
Yep.
Champs. Where's that held? And, when are you hoping to, fully be back on the bike at full pace?
I'd say I'd be back on the bike sort of for full training next week. This week I'll just sort of slowly build up because I haven't actually missed a heap of time on the bike, despite it being pretty grim for a couple of weeks. I was able to keep training mostly until I went in for the surgery. So back on the bike fully next week, and then the Road Worlds is in Belgium. So unfortunately, one of the main reasons for wanting to go to the World Cup was to have a look at the World Championships course, but unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. But my coach is over there at the moment having a look, so I'll be looking forward to a full report.
Mm. So tell us a bit about your year so far, minus the surgery, up to this point.
It's been, from a training perspective and competition perspective, it's been pretty slow for me because I didn't get back on the bike until late December after the games because I was pretty unwell during the games with an MS relapse. I had to recover from that fully before we recommenced. So it was a slower start and therefore a bit of a longer build into Belgium. I did compete at track nationals. I didn't do road nationals this year. I went to track nationals and competed only in, I think I did 3 events in the end, the kilometre time trial, the sprint, and what else did I do? The elimination. So wanted to try all of the events that I had not ever tried before, just to do something different because I knew I wasn't in really great shape. And if we go to Worlds this year, which it's not yet confirmed whether or not we'll send a team, and if so, what size it would be, I wanted to make sure if I went, I had some experience in those events.
For you, how devastating was it for you to not head over to Perth to defend your Road Nats title?
To be honest, it wasn't super devastating. I was keen to go and actually just race somewhere different outside of Ballarat in Australia for a national title. I was pretty excited for that part of it. But I knew it just wasn't going to be possible given the way that my body was by the time I got back from Paris and off the back of the time trial and everything that sort of happened over there then.
Now, one thing you also did though is in January as well was
Yeah.
you did a bit of tennis at the Australian Open as part of the night with Novak. Tell us a bit about that experience.
I didn't do any tennis. I just went and watched. I
Yeah,
was,
still.
I was invited. Yeah, I was invited to the tennis by Novak Djokovic. Reached out to I think six. I was 4 gold medalists from the games. It was Ariane Titmus, Noemi Fox, myself, and I cannot remember the fourth gentleman's name. He won a gold in sailing.
Mhm.
I'm really apologetic for remembering his name. He was lovely. So yeah, we got to go as guests of Novak, and it was so much fun. It was so entertaining, and for such a great cause as well. It was really awesome.
Athletes that you were with, are the Paralympian or Olympian in the gold medalists that, you had a bit more advice from, or like, you know, that you had a chance to mingle around with?
Yeah, like we all had a really good conversation beforehand. It was really lovely actually to catch up with. I knew Arnie. I've met her a couple of times in Queensland when we both lived up there. We actually did our OAM ceremonies together up in
Mm.
Queensland, so it was great to see her again and just get a bit of an idea of what her year was going to look like. So yeah, it was awesome, and it was the first time I'd met Noemi, who was super sweet. Matt Wern is the other guy. I remember his name. And he was super. He was awesome, and his partner was there. His wife was there, who's a Belgian sailor. So I was talking to her about Belgium a little bit. It was like, yeah, it was an awesome night.
Now, the other thing that you also did this year was back in also in late January. Obviously, you had a very busy January in particular. Is you're at the helm of the new SASI Para Unit. Tell us a bit about that.
I am. I'm lucky enough that I was successful in obtaining the position as the para unit lead for the South Australian Sports Institute. So we are looking for the next generation of Paralympic talent ahead of 2032. There was a report done by the Sports Commission about 12 months ago now where they surveyed the country around some of the barriers to participation for para athletes within both the high performance pathway, but also within grassroots sport. And off the back of that, a whole lot of recommendations were made. And one of them was that there was some further supports put in through the institute system. And so I am lucky enough to lead a team of absolute legends over here at SASI to help try and generate like a pathway and a pipeline of talent for ahead of both LA and Brisbane 2032. And, right next to me is Jed Altschwager in
Yes.
terms of in the role. So we're working really closely together, and our whole team sort of came together for the first time on Monday. So we've got David Gould as well working as our wheelchair basketball and skills coach. Darcy Thompson, who was a paracyclist as well a few years ago, he's our strength and conditioning lead. We've got a really great physiotherapist classification lead in James Wheelchair. So we've got a really exceptional and talented team. And I feel really, really privileged to be in the role that I'm in, and looking for anyone out there in South Australia who wants to get into the Paralympic sports pathway, have a look at the SASI website and register with us in the para unit.
Absolutely. Great plug, by the way, for that. But also, I went to Adelaide on the weekend, and obviously we mentioned about the SASI, and of course the new development that's there at Mole End. How good to? I'm assuming you've had a chance to walk into that facilities.
That's where I work every day. I'm really lucky to work in probably the best sports facility, I would have to say, not only in the country, but you would struggle to find a better sports facility in the world than what we have here. It's pretty futuristic in terms of what you can do for any sport and every sport. So we're super lucky, and we can be really creative with what we offer to potential athletes coming through our unit.
Any at the moment? I know it's 3 months in, but any early athletes, especially on the cycling side, that we should be aware of?
No, we haven't actually found any cyclists yet.
Oh.
I'm not specialising in cycling, that's for sure, but we're just opening the doors to anyone that's interested at the moment. We're starting a multi-sport program. Actually, we're running our pilot program starting next Monday. It'll run for 8 weeks, where a number of athletes will get to try 11 sports across the 8 weeks, and that'll sort of help connect them to sport both at a grassroots level. And if we find any of those needles in the haystack that are immediately ready to go through into high performance, we'll speed up that process for them. And if not, then we'll set them on a bit of a path within the grassroots system, and give them some time to develop and keep in touch with them, so that if they do start to show some promise or decide that they want to really pursue high performance sport, we're here to help them. We have come into contact and have been supporting one athlete in powerlifting. And so we're really excited for him to go to nationals I think it's in July. So he's been in training with us as a para unit athlete. And that's been really fun for me, because I knew absolutely nothing about powerlifting until he came into our environment, and I learned a whole lot really quickly. And yeah, it's mind-boggling how technical that sport is. People think that it's really easy. You just come in and you lift the bar and that's all you have to do, but there's so much technique to it. It's been really fascinating. So we're super excited. Well, I'm super excited about that, and I know all of the guys in the unit are really super excited about it as well. We can't wait to see how he goes.
You've made the move from Victoria to South Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Do you miss Victoria, or you're now very comfortable over there in SA, considering you know over there?
It's a bit of both. I love Melbourne and I miss Melbourne every day. But I also really love my partner, Grant, who lives over here, which is the reason why I moved. And I really love my job. So I feel really comfortable in this environment, working with a lot of really great people here at SASI. And obviously really love my partner and our family that we've created in Adelaide, which is why I moved to Adelaide in the first place. But, it's not unfamiliar to me. I lived here for 2 years when I first moved back from overseas and made national team. So I'm really familiar with Adelaide itself. But yeah, definitely will always miss Melbourne at the coffee. It's always better in Melbourne. You'll never get me to say that Adelaide has better coffee than Melbourne. But it's definitely still very good quality. It's just not quite Melbourne.
No. I'll have to ask as well, which for people that have missed the interviews that we've done with you before, where did the love of cycling start for you, and what does it mean now?
I sort of fell into cycling a little bit by default because there was nothing else that I could do. I was working in a school rowing program at the time with an Olympic level rower, and I was struggling to get into exercise, and he had said to me what were the things, like I'd listed all of the things that I knew that I couldn't do that I'd tried over the 7 years post-diagnosis that had failed because of my body, and he asked what I could do, and I said the one thing I could always do, irrespective of what was going on with my body or whether or not I could feel my legs, is turn my feet over on the pedals of a bike. But I didn't feel super safe outside because, my grips in it is not very good. I've got really limited grip. So he said to me, why don't we start you in our office with the AC on, a fan in your face, and just start with really small increments of training and then build it up from there. So we did that, and a couple of months later he asked me, he said, I think we should think about something competitive for you to aim for and set a goal. And I was like, oh yeah, cool, what are you thinking? And he said the Paralympics. And so I started laughing because I didn't realise. I thought it was ridiculous. It was ludicrous. I was 115 kilos, didn't look like an athlete, and didn't realise that I was actually a classifiable impairment. But he could see the way that my body operated and knew that it wasn't regular. He also knew that Carol Cook, who has MS, had won a gold medal at the previous Paralympic Games, and so he just assumed that meant that I would also classify into the sport. So I said, look, if I'm classifiable, I'm happy to try, and we give it a couple of years and see what my progression looks like, if I look like I'm any sort of chance. And lucky for me, I got classified. Well, not lucky. I was lucky / unlucky that I classified. My disability was enough that it got me classified for Paralympic sport. And then from there, it took a couple of years, and then I was on a national team. So pretty lucky that I knew someone who knew someone. And the whole point of these para units is to remove that need. Like, we're trying to open the doors. It's not just SASI, it's all of the institutes now have these para units in place. And it's really just trying to create greater access for people with disability into sport, both at the high performance and grassroots level.
For everyone out there, what type of disability / classification are you currently on?
I'm in currently WC4. So there are 5 types on a regular, like a standard bike, a 2-wheel bike, C1 to C5, C1 being the most impaired, C5 being the least, and I fit in at C4. I've always been a C4.
A bit about your coach. I'm assuming your coach is currently over there you said your coach is currently overseas, but you normally train, I'm assuming they're based in Adelaide normally?
Oh, no, they're based in Melbourne. So all of my sport, I'm still a bit like, even though I work at SASI at the moment, I'm still a Victorian Institute of Sport athlete. So I fall into their system, and my cycling coach this season is Sam Derrida. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. So I go back and forth a little bit. So that's it, and we just communicate pretty consistently. I'm pretty good. I just get the training done. My physiologist and everything is based in Melbourne, so they write the program and work together. And then it's just a matter of me touching base with both of them and making sure that the communication is really solid while I'm away. And anytime I go back to Melbourne, just making sure we all catch up and we're all on the same page and everything's tracking the way it needs to.
Finish with these last two, which is for people out there, and you've already promoted it in regard to the para unit side of things, but what would be your advice to people out there, who have a disability, that should, their dreams is to hopefully do something that you've already achieved?
Just give it a go would be the first thing. Find a sport that works for you and for your impairment, and then really just pursue it. If you really believe that you can do it, I believe that anyone can achieve anything. You've just got to work really hard, and it may not always look the way you thought it was going to look. It may be in a sport that you haven't even considered yet. So I think, the main thing is to reach out, contact your local institute, whether if you're in New South Wales, it's NSWIS, if you're Victorian based, it's VIS, QA is for Queensland, SASI for us, WACE for WA, Tassie is the Tassie Institute, and NT is also an institute as well. So everyone has one. Reach out, find out what they're offering and how you get involved.
And the last one, how can I follow your journey on the socials?
Yeah, so I've got a Instagram account, which is just Em_Petricola _cycling. My Facebook page is Emily Petricola Paracyclist.
Yes, correct.
So that's it. I don't have much outside of that. I'm not a TikTok person. I'm too old for TikTok.
Don't worry, we share the same thing. Well, it is so awesome to have you on the show. You've been an absolutely amazing athlete in person to come on our show the last couple of years, and we can't wait to continue your journey, and hope so. But we get to see you at the World Champ stage, and obviously if that's still going ahead, and hopefully best of luck with your recovery, and let's hope it continues to make amends in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Will. Thanks so much for having me.
No worries, and of course. That's Em Petricola there. Join us. Of course, the gold medals Paracyclist join us there. Of course, as she said, you can. We'll put all the details up on, especially the unit that she's part of with the SASI Para Unit, of course, and put all the details up on how you can get involved there. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this day goer here on the 15th year celebration.